Hello, everyone. Why is my screen showing? That shouldn't be showing. There we go. All right, we are live. What's up, everyone? We're doing the Joy of Pixels today.
Yep.
I am joined with my buddy Squash. How are you doing, Squash?
Hey. Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah. So we typically do this on Fridays, but Squash had to go see some movie. I don't know, some indie movie or something like that. So,
Yeah, it's just a small indie movie that I was supporting.
we decided to do it today. What's up, ODM? Hi, Koala. How are y'all doing?
Heck a while.
I guess let's jump right in. Let's
Sure.
talk about some video games. What have you been playing?
I've been playing quite a lot, and most of it's been pretty old games. I'll start off with Fear, because that's like the most interesting one on the list, I think. In my opinion, anyway, mainly because of how much it terrifies me. Um, it Playing the game has made me want like a first-person Max Payne game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because the slow motion in that game, along with the shooting and the ragdoll and everything, is just amazing and incredibly satisfying. Um,
It's hard to believe
yeah,
that game came out in 2004, 2005.
it came out that early.
I think it may have been 2004 or 2005.
Yeah, but it can't have been a PS2 game.
Well, it was PC only.
Oh, right. It came out October 2005.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
That is insane. What on earth?
'Cause that game still
Because
looks
it
really
still
good.
looks good too, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
The
I
graphics
remember
really hold up.
I bought it when it first came out, or maybe I don't know, maybe shortly after it came out. This was back when I didn't know anything about video games, and I just saw
Hmm.
the box art and I was like, "Oh, this looks cool." Um, and I could barely run that game on my computer.
Thankfully, it runs all right on my PC in 2019, so
Yeah,
I didn't have any issues performance wise.
14 years old, almost. Well, yeah, 14 years old. That's insane. Game's almost as old as you.
Yep, 2 years off. Uh, but yeah, the I want to play it, but I get too scared, man.
Mm.
Like the
It's
creepy little
intense, isn't it?
girl who appears sometimes, like
Yeah,
it's not like it's those slight appearances where she just like walks past some
yeah.
kind of blurry glass or whatever.
Hmm.
It's like I don't want to follow her. Why am I going that way? Um,
Because you're the
and
point man.
well, yeah. I haven't yet encountered or like properly encountered the main antagonist yet. I can't
Fettle,
remember his name.
Paxton
Yeah,
Fettle.
yeah, Paxton. I'm kind of in. Well, I stopped playing because I got too scared because I was like right about to run into him. I think I'm in the big kind of industrial skyscraper building
Okay.
where I think I'm meant to run into him, and I've kind of just gone past the room where the two other people come out of the elevator and the blood is blood everywhere and whatever.
Oh,
Um,
okay. You're a good ways in then.
cool. That's good to know. Actually, I might be able to beat it then.
It's not a very long game. Um, yeah, that man, that part. It's like really early on where you go into like the first building and
Hmm.
you go up to the roof and you like walk around an air conditioner unit or something, and he like comes out and hits you with the
Yep.
board. That part freaked me out so much. I mean, not like I don't know, not freaked me out, but just scared me so much when I played that the first time.
Hmm. Honestly, I because there's a lean in the game, I was kind of trying to stay ahead of whatever was trying to come to me.
Yeah.
So when I peeked around the corner and saw him, and then he
Mm.
jumped at me, I that was not a fun experience. I
And
did
then
blast him a few times, but obviously it did nothing.
yeah, that
Yeah.
part. I think this may be one of the areas that, or one of the parts that literally scares me every time I play that game, and I don't know why, because I know it's happening.
Hmm.
But where you get on it's just so well done. Where you get on the ladder
Um,
and I can't remember. I think you're climbing up. You get on the ladder and like you see the little girl all of a sudden, and then that
yeah.
like freaks you out a little bit. But then they do it to you again, and I always forget about that because you like walk up and then you turn around and she's like right there, and then she like disappears into you or something. Oh my goodness.
Yep. The same thing happened in another game I'll be talking about, Half-Life. It wasn't intentional at all, but I kind of fell down this hole, was climbing back up this ladder, and then this guy appeared at the top to help me up, and it made me jump like nothing else has ever made me jump in a long, long time. It was terrifying. But yeah, Fear, it is pretty good. It makes me,
It invokes fear.
yeah, it does what the name of the game kind of entails. It instills fear in the player. I want to play more, even though I'm terrified to. I will probably have uh, built up the courage and beaten it by the next time we speak, so I'll be able to kind of give a definitive, I guess, opinion on the game. But yeah, I'm enjoying it quite a bit so far.
I
And
hope
like
you
you said,
can.
I'm relatively far in as well.
Yeah,
So
I hope you can stick with it. I mean, I totally understand if it's just too intense, then I wouldn't want you
mhm.
to keep going. But
I'll push through.
yeah, there's just something about that game. What do you think about the AI? A lot of people talk about how amazing the AI in that game is. The way that the bad guys will communicate with each other, and like they'll spot your flashlight, and like they'll
Hmm.
um it it's just so well done because it literally sounds like they're working together, even though it is
Yeah,
scripted. Um,
yeah.
but there's parts where they'll like knock over a like a set of shelves or something like that to block you, or like
Hmm.
use cover and things like that. I think it's just so well done.
Yeah, the AI is pretty smart in that sense. I haven't. Maybe it's because of like gotten used to it and like started to turn off my flashlight when I hear them coming and stuff,
Hmm.
and tried to be a bit more sneaky. But they are definitely better than other AI like I've encountered in games more recently, because like they actually hide behind cover tactically, and I've been flanked multiple times.
Yeah,
You really have to stay on your toes and make like keep track of where people are and stuff.
I think so much of it is the level design,
Yeah.
because it's a lot more tight quarters as opposed to open areas, and so
Hmm.
were able to really script that a lot better as far as having them path in different ways depending on what
Hmm.
you do.
But yeah, Fear is very scary. More scary than I was anticipating.
Do you have a favorite gun?
Hmm. Maybe either the like the dual wield pistols or the shotgun.
Oh, the shotgun is so good in that game.
It is really good.
Have you gotten the nail gun yet?
I have wait. Yes, I have the one. It's not really a nail gun, but it kind of
Yeah, it
fires
shoots
things that
like
can pin people to the
spikes.
wall. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That one is so fun too.
That is a lot of
It's
fun to
so
use.
fun
Yeah.
to just like peg someone up against the wall and then just see their bodies just
Yeah.
impaled on the wall there.
I did encounter one problem with that. I pinned this guy up against a ladder, and then I then needed to go up that
Oh
ladder
no.
to progress.
Yeah.
And so I kind of had to jump above the guy, and then I managed to knock his body off and climbed up, thankfully.
Nice.
Almost soft locked myself there.
That's cool. Yeah. So what else you been playing?
Well, like I said, I played through Half Life, more specifically Half Life 2, Episode 1 and 2, because I discovered I'd never played through the second episode. And it had been a long time since I'd played through the first. So I picked up the second episode for like 57 pence on a sale, which was pretty good considering how much I got out of it.
Yeah.
And they were thoroughly enjoyable. I understand now why people want Half Life 3, because I've actually properly finished everything now. Um, I think in regards to gameplay, it's just more Half Life. They introduce more heavily kind of the black poisonous head crabs in the episodes,
Hmm.
which are even more terrifying than the normal head crabs. Uh, the story continues in a kind of enticing and ends in a, well, I wouldn't say satisfying because it's kind of a cliffhanger,
Huge.
kind
I
of
mean,
evil type way.
I think we can talk about it at this point. Like, if you haven't played Half-Life 2 Episode 2 at this point, then
Well, you could have said that to me like a week ago, and I wouldn't have played it.
that's true.
But
Okay,
I
well,
guess we could talk about it. Just spoiler warning. I guess,
spoiler
if you haven't
alert.
played it.
If you don't want to know what happens at the end of Half-Life 2 Episode 2, or I guess in Half-Life 2 at all, then don't listen.
Cover your ears.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just so frustrating that Vance dies. Eli Vance, right?
Eli, yeah.
And it ends literally like right after that, doesn't it?
Yeah, Eli kind of gets killed by the what are they called? Kind of the floaty, bloated looking things.
Yeah.
And then he kind of falls to the ground, and then you're with Alex, Eli, and Dog, and like Eli dies, and then it finishes. And it's like, what happens next? Like, where did the people go? What happens? I want to know more.
Did you ever read the or did you ever read about the story about the ex-writer for Half-Life that posted like the really weird blog post that was very cryptic but very clearly what was going to happen in Episode 3?
I have not read that.
Did you hear about it, or do you know about it?
I heard there was kind of a leak / cryptic message, like you say, that came out, kind of trying to describe what was going to happen in Episode 3.
It makes me feel a little better just because we kind of know like where they were going with things. Basically, what kind of frustrates you though is they kind of set it up for another cliffhanger. Like,
oh, okay. Well, there was like 5 episodes planned initially, wasn't there?
No, there were only 3, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, there were. That's the other thing that's so frustrating, because there was an interview with Gabe Newell, and he was talking about how they were really excited to do episodic content because that means that they can put out episodes a lot faster now instead of having to wait like 5 years between a release. And so everybody was super excited, like, oh, we're gonna get like these little mini episodes like 1, 2, and 3, and then we'll get Half-Life 3, and then we'll get Half-Life 3 episode 1, 2, and 3, and yeah, it just never happened.
They just like went completely dead on it, right? They just stopped talking about Half-Life in general.
They were really big into talking about it right around when Episode 2 came out. They were saying, of course it's coming, of course we're working on it. And then it started to be like, well, we'll talk about it when we have something to show. And then it started to be like, people would ask them and be like, we're not talking anything about that right now. And then like just total silence.
Yeah.
And I think that was around like, I don't know, 2011, 2012 or something like that, when the last thing that they really talked about with Half-Life was. But I mean, we have a new Half-Life game coming out.
That is true. That is the main reason why I played through the episodes.
Yeah.
Was for that. You do have to wonder, like, where did it all go wrong in the development of Episode 3? Like, did it get too ambitious and then they were going to try and make a whole new game and then that fell through and they just gave up? Or
yeah,
maybe Half-Life 3 still coming?
There was a Kotaku article that said that there were like 8 different versions of Episode 3. And I'm sure that like they just got more and more ambitious and they wanted to do more and more stuff. And then as they were doing that, Steam started becoming this massive entity that it is.
Yeah.
And they just started making so much money from that, and then expectations started getting so high for Episode 3. It always kind of bothers me that everybody always says they want Half-Life 3. They don't want Half-Life 3. They want Episode 3 of Half-Life 2. But yeah, so I'm sure that that's what happened. They just got to the point to where no matter what they put out, it was not going to satisfy people. Even though I would kind of argue, for me, like, I would be happy with something even if it wasn't perfect.
Yeah, just some kind of continuation.
Yeah. Um, but I mean, at the same time, it's like, why do they need to? If they're not, if they're not passionate about doing this anymore, they're making billions of dollars off of Steam.
Yeah,
So from their perspective, there's no reason to. But it seems like things are changing, and I still feel like I don't know. I still feel like this is such a weird thing to release a VR only version of Half Life.
yeah.
And I mean, it's a pretty small team that's working on it. I think it
It's
was
like
like 50 to
40
60.
people, 50.
Yeah. And it's also like a bunch of developers, that were working on other games. Like
Hmm.
that's kind of a bit of a controversy. The Campo Santo guys that were bought by Steam, they made Firewatch.
Hmm.
Did you play Firewatch?
I did. I love Firewatch.
Yeah, and they had that new game that they announced, Into the Valley of the Gods,
Hmm.
which was like this cool looking Egyptian type game, exploration game.
Yeah,
And now, apparently, from what I've heard, like that game is just not necessarily canceled, but like put on hold indefinitely
yeah.
because they're
I
working
think
on
they said
Half Life.
officially. I think there was an official statement about it saying that it's still very much a thing and it will happen. But Half Life Alex is where their focus is at the moment.
Yeah,
Whether or not they'll go straight back to Into the Valley of the Gods afterwards, who knows? Because they might get assigned some other game by Steam. Hopefully, one that is like worthy of Campo Santo, like
I mean, I
not
guess,
gonna condescend on them or anything.
yeah, I guess my thing is like if they're passionate about working on Half Life, then more power to them. Like if they were working
Hmm.
on Into the Valley of the Gods, and Valve was like, "Hey, you want to make a Half Life game?" and they were like, "Yeah, we're huge Half Life fans,"
Yeah.
then that would be cool. But if it's like, "Hey, we own you now, make this game," that's what
Hmm.
kind of worries me.
I
Um,
do think that I think any kind of game studio would have been honored to take on the Half Life franchise with how
yeah,
big it is. So I don't think it would have been kind of forced upon them by any means.
it just kind of
Um,
sucks that we don't get the original devs that
yeah.
are working on that. Because Half Life just had a certain feel, and I hope that they can. And I mean, all of this is speculation. Maybe it's going to nail
Hmm.
it out of the park, knock it out of the park. And I guess we just don't really know until April. Wait, April or March?
March, I think,
I think it is
or is it?
March or April.
I need to look this up now. Hang on.
Half Life Alex. March.
Yeah, okay. March 2020. There's no like actual day though, is there?
It's kind of weird, yeah, that they haven't put an actual day on it, because
Hmm.
that's pretty darn soon.
Because that could be the end of March. It could be like March 1st.
Yeah,
Hmm. I do think I'm like 90% confident in that this is um, filler Half Life and that they're working on something like bigger. I think this decade has been Capcom's redemption arc, and I think next decade will be Valve's redemption arc.
you think so?
I hope so, yeah, because there's been talks of a new Portal game as well. Um, I don't think that'll be VR though, because they are not going to be able to get the motion sickness like fixed. I don't think with Portal everywhere and the kind of movement speed you need in that game sometimes. Um,
Oh man, I would love if we got a Portal 3. I definitely would not want that to be in VR though.
nah, but yeah, I do think because they can't give what would be the point in giving backstory on Alex and Eli and then not continuing any further on that story to try and show how that backstory like is involved in their later life,
Yeah.
like beyond Half Life Two. I mean, it would just feel like a weird kind of like there's no reason to do this other than to capitalize on the money, which would be a very Valve thing to do at the moment, I guess.
Yeah. That's kind of what I worry about.
Unfortunately, I have some sort of hope though.
Yeah, Koala, I'm sorry about the chat yesterday. I know it was kind of a mess. I was doing a stream yesterday and having the chat on screen, and it wasn't really showing up very well. And I noticed that it was not showing up very well now because I had it set to almost black, so I changed it back to white. So that should be better for now.
It does look better.
Yeah, we'll find out in March.
Hopefully, if it comes out in March.
It sounds like it's done because I mean, there's been multiple people that have played through it now. The people on the Adam Savage's YouTube channel called Tested. Do you ever watch that?
I haven't watched that, no.
They put out a pretty interesting video that they tested Half-Life Alyx on every single VR headset just to see how it worked, and they were like, it works perfect on pretty much every headset. So that's reassuring. Good.
Yeah, because you have a Vive, right?
I have the original Vive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the wands for the Vive because I never have liked those. Here they are right here. And
they don't have analog sticks, do they?
They don't. No, they have a touchpad. And they're just not really well designed, in my opinion. You don't really have
they look huge.
They are huge, yeah. Yeah, so you really only have just like the big touchpad. You have a button here. You have buttons on the sides, and then you have like a trigger, and that's it.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot of controller for not a whole lot of like button or input, I guess.
I'm tempted to buy the Index controllers because the controllers work with the Vive, and then maybe at some point I would just get rid of the Vive and actually get the Index. Yeah. Because I already have the lighthouses. So at that point I'd only be spending $500 or $600.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Well, I feel like that stuff keeps changing so fast that it's tough to invest in a VR right now.
I think the Index, if like you do want to invest in VR now, Index is the place to go if you have the money. But kind of the best budget like VR headset is definitely, well, I say budget, it's still like $300 or $400.
Yeah.
But the Rift S, I think is the way to go.
That's VR what you have, right?
Budget. Yeah.
Yeah, the controllers look really nice for that.
They are. The analog sticks are pretty well built. The controllers in general, they're not too big. They have nice kind of touch sensors on them. So if you have your hand like completely on the controller, you make like a fist in the VR. And then depending on which button you lift off of, that finger or fingers are lifted like on the hand in VR. So there's some intuitive ways that games I've played have used it, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, the Index controllers, they just look like they actually thought it through as far as what would make a good controller.
I've heard the tracking isn't like the best on the controllers though.
Yeah.
Like I know it's like the best hand tracking out there, but sometimes it's not entirely accurate. They may, like the last time I read about that was 3 or 4 months ago, maybe longer. And so they definitely could have added like software updates and stuff because they've done that with the Rift S. And they've made some huge improvements to like how it performs and like how the onboard tracking is for the Rift S. It's improved significantly just through like software updates. So maybe they've done similar with the Index.
Yeah. We've got a ways to go for VR.
Yeah, I think so too.
What else have you been playing?
I've been playing through, well, I guess 2/3 of the Max Payne series. I started off with 2 like a few weeks ago. I played like played a little under an hour of it, or maybe a little over an hour, and I enjoyed it. It was surprisingly good considering its age. I think it holds up pretty damn well, especially how like the whole narrative plays out in terms of the like comic book graphic novel type style.
I love the way they do that.
Yeah, the dialogue scenes, that's really good. The shooting mechanics, which is kind of, I guess, the main part of Max Payne, is like the slow-mo and the bullet time. It all holds up well. I like the fact that one thing I saw in Max Payne 1, which was one of the reasons I didn't buy it, was that there was no ragdoll on the bodies. All the bodies kind of just play the same death animation and then fall to the ground when you kill them, whereas in Max
Yeah, I
Payne
didn't think
2,
about that.
yeah, Max Payne 2, there's like ragdoll physics on the enemies. So, like, when you use a shotgun, they actually look like they've been shot by a shotgun rather than
Hmm.
just falling to the ground. And I thought, because I'm also playing through Max Payne 3, and Max Payne 2 in comparison is way, way, way more gritty and dark.
Yeah.
Um, very much film noir, like you've described it in the past. Um,
Yeah, that's the number one reason why I didn't like Max Payne 3. I just didn't like
mhm.
the style it was shown in.
Yeah, the thing, I guess I'll talk about Max Payne 3 as well, because they're like in the same franchise. The similarities between the two games are really only the shooting mechanics, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's no character
even
tie-ins
exactly
other than
Max,
Max Payne.
and even Max himself just doesn't really feel like Max Payne to me.
Nah, he's he's like who can I describe him as? I don't know like what the best way to describe him is. Um Man, he's like, it's weird. I can't think. My mind's gone blank.
It's hard to. It's been a long time since I've tried Max Payne 3. I've tried Max Payne 3 probably two or three times,
Hmm.
and always wanted to get into it because I loved Max Payne 1 and 2 so much.
Hmm.
But I don't know, the style of the game, or like the art style, I guess you would say, just the way that
Yeah.
it's not as gritty and dark, and then the character himself just doesn't feel like Max Payne. I don't
Hmm.
know. It's hard to describe, like you're saying.
He's more kind of sensitive, I guess, or like has more emotions than I guess what the Max Payne 2 Max would have felt.
Yeah.
He's kind of just like, I don't know. I think of him the way I'm putting it in my head right now is because I've been watching The Witcher. I think of him like Geralt in Max Payne 3. Like, he's said not to have emotions and stuff, but in reality, he kind of does, and he
Hmm.
does care about people. Whereas in Max Payne 2, it's very much like he's closed himself off. He is like a drunk, and he um, he only really cares about one person, um, and he can't stop beating himself up about obviously what happens in the first game with his wife and kids. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think comparatively, like you were saying, in Max Payne 3, the art style is kind of like he's on LSD
Yeah.
rather than him being drunk. Um, Maybe I haven't really been paying much attention to the cutscenes, but I don't know whether he takes drugs or not, or whether it's just drinking in three.
I think he's just drinking. Yeah, it's like in Max Payne 1 and 2, like he has a very clear directive, and like
Hmm.
even though he's kind of lost it a little bit, like he knows what he needs to do,
Yeah.
um and he has a very straightforward directive. But in Max Payne 3, I just kind of got the feeling that like he doesn't really care about anything.
Hmm. Yeah, he doesn't have like a drive towards anything. He doesn't have an
Yeah.
end goal in sight. He's just
Yeah.
doing what he's like been assigned to do.
All right.
Um,
Which, I mean,
I will
that
say,
could be cool, but and again, maybe maybe it pays off at the end. I've never
yeah,
gotten very far in it.
I am definitely gonna beat Max Payne 3. I've beaten it before, but it was a long time ago when I beat it. And gameplay wise, Max Payne 3 is leaps and bounds better than Max Payne 2, I think. Um, I enjoy the shooting and the play style of Max Payne 3 much more compared to Max Payne 2, mainly because it feels more modern. Um, it also feels a bit more visceral than Max Payne 2 did, because like there's all sorts of uh, like graphics that happen when you like shoot someone in the head, they get a bullet hole in the front of them and then a spur out the back, which is always nice in bullet time. And it just it's like the animations are obviously better in Max Payne 3 because it's more modern and stuff like that. That helps the gameplay in a way feel a bit more visceral and real.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm enjoying Max Payne 3 more as well, I think. But if I were to choose a better story, then or a more authentic feeling Max Payne game, then it would be Max Payne 2.
Yeah.
Even though my first experience with Max Payne was with 3, I think after having seen some of 1 and played through 2, I think it's definitely the weakest story wise.
He also just doesn't look like Max Payne in Max Payne 3. I feel like they changed the way he looks a lot.
Honestly, he looks like Michael from GTA 5
I was just about to say that.
with a
Yeah.
beard.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's where my mind always like gets drawn to, and it's almost like they made Max Payne 3 and they modeled the character based on their idea for one of the main characters in GTA 5. Like,
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because Max in especially Max Payne 1 and Max Payne 2 had like a very distinctive look,
mhm.
but he looks just very generic here, and he does look a lot like Michael from GTA 5.
Yeah.
Also, he's bald. I forgot he was bald.
He kind of shaves his hair off. I just watched the cutscene where he shaves his hair off. I'm kind of yeah. It's also a much more gory game than Max Payne 2 and 1,
Yeah.
but I like gory games, so it's not a complaint from me.
Fear has some gore.
It does for sure. You can literally shoot someone in and they become a pile of mist if you shoot them with the shotgun.
Yeah, have you thrown, it's so fun to throw a grenade and like go into
Yeah,
slow-mo and then like shoot the grenade out of the air
I've
into
done.
a
Yeah,
pile
that
of
is really
enemies.
cool to do.
Oh man, it's so good.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Fear is great.
for sure. Also, another satisfying thing back to Half Life, using the gravity gun to shoot like the saw blades at like the zombies.
Oh man, I
I don't know what the
forgot
name
about
is,
that. Yeah.
but yeah, shooting the saw blades at them is fun just to see them fall in half. It's great.
I think I may have to, I definitely want to play through the Half-Life 1 remake thing that they made.
Yeah, the Black Mesa.
Mhm.
I did buy that. I tried to play through it. I don't know why, but I ended up refunding it. I don't. I'm probably just wasn't in the mood for Half Life.
Yeah.
But I might have to revisit that because it's definitely it came out with a pretty big update lately. Because as well as it being a remake,
Mhm.
they added on to the end of the game. I think
Mhm.
kind of extra episodes you could call it. So yeah, maybe I'll have to go back to that.
What else you been playing?
Um, well, I've been sticking to my roots again and just playing more Destiny.
Yeah.
Um, I've played because a new season came out. Um, when did it come out? It came out 2 weeks ago. I think it came out on the 10th of December. Um, and it surprised me a lot when it came out. I think I talked about it last week as well. But like it has a surprisingly good kind of loop, gameplay loop.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, so I've been playing more Destiny. It still has that loop. I haven't been playing it as much, but like I've been, I've kind of been logging on every day, doing my daily bounties, like you do in COD, for example. Leveling up the season pass in Destiny is last season. I didn't really level it up too much because I lost the will to play the game. I guess it didn't. I didn't have that much draw to it. Whereas with this season, for some reason, I'm just more into it. Maybe it's because I'm looking for a game to just be able to log on and play every day at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, the bounties they don't really feel tedious to do or anything. I kind of just log on, um, do the bounties, have a bit of fun. The other day, I found a Discord server with like 10,000 plus members that's really active, a Destiny 2 LFG server.
Dang.
Um, and so I found a couple people who helped me out with an exotic quest that I've been meaning to get done, which was nice to do. So I got this exotic machine gun called the Xenophage, which kind of fires these explosive heavy rounds. But it's a machine gun, so it I suppose thinking of a machine gun, it'd be like an LMG, but it fires singular rounds, so it's not really a machine gun. It's kind of like a heavy duty, kind of rifle type thing, but it's in machine gun form. I don't know, but it's very fun to use and it's pretty OP.
It's a science fiction game. There's no
Yeah, it's hard
big
to
distinction
explain.
between a light machine gun and a regular machine gun. I mean, there is, but
It's just a cool sci-fi machine gun.
yeah.
That was definitely worth the grind. Also, another neat thing is that it hasn't really got a level cap. So each season, an artifact comes out, and this artifact kind of you level it up using XP, and it gives you there's kind of 5 different levels to the artifact, I think, and more skill points you spend on it, the more kind of columns of levels you unlock, and they give you different perks and bonuses and stuff. And then the final level gives you like the type of bonus that would be on an exotic weapon or armor piece, so it's like worth leveling up the artifact.
Hmm.
And then even once you get past kind of the level 5, each time you level it up, you get +1 light or +1 power level. So like you could upgrade it 50 times, and then your power level would be 50 higher than it would be without the artifact, which like makes it so there's another way to chase power other than through the gear side of things, which is pretty nice, as especially as someone who plays more casually than most.
Hmm.
So that's a nice addition. And also, I'm pretty invested in the lore at the moment. They brought back a character that's, well, they didn't even bring him back. They've kind of introduced a character that's been in the lore since the very beginning of Destiny, Saint 14. And he is kind of this Russian titan. It's funny that he's Russian. It was never mentioned before that he was Russian, I don't think. But he has this really cool Russian voice actor who plays him. And yeah, the story for him so far has been pretty enticing. You kind of have to travel through time and find out the different points of like the different important times in his like experience as a guardian, and then you help him out, and then eventually you rebuild this thing that helps him come back to the present day. And despite the fact you've never really met him in the present moment, he like obviously knows who you are because you've gone back in time and talked about, or you've gone back in time and met him at different points in time. But that was like it's weird time travel stuff. It's cool though. Yeah,
I feel like
it's enticing.
you would have to play this to understand what's going on.
Yeah, I think so for sure. Like if you didn't know Destiny like at all, you'd have no idea about anything I'm talking about. I don't think so. Yeah,
I'm glad that
if
you're
you
enjoying it though.
yeah, and it's weird to think that this game's free to play now because I've been
It's
playing since
it's crazy.
like the alpha of Destiny 1, and like I was thinking about it the other day while playing through a strike. I was like, this game is free to play now. Like anyone could log on and play this. It's cool to think about,
What a
and it's nice
journey
that
they have come.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Never say never. I'll never say that I'll never go back to, or that I won't come back to Destiny 2, but
Mhm.
right now I just have zero desire to play Destiny.
Yeah, I understand that. There's nothing big out at the moment that would really, um, I guess, need you to come back anyway, or
Well,
would want you to come back.
it's not just Destiny, it's just the looter shooter itself, I think.
Hmm.
Um I just don't think I like looter shooters that much. I don't like the idea of having an enemy level that I have to raise my level to, make. Uh, I don't know how to explain it, but basically, I just don't like having to be a certain level to take on an enemy.
Yeah.
Especially in a shooter. Like I understand it if it's like like an RPG and like Skyrim or something like that. And you can't go and take on the final boss until you're a certain level. But I don't know. I think maybe Dark Souls is kind of ruined that for me a little bit. Dark Souls has ruined so many games for me. um, because the idea of Dark Souls that you can literally like not level your character at all and still beat the final boss
Yeah.
just because you're good, just
Mhm.
because of skill, is just such an enticing idea for me. Not saying that I can do it, but people can do it. And yeah, I guess the thing is, like in Destiny, if you are 50 levels higher than your current mission that you're on, like, you're just going to destroy everything. And some people like that. But also some people like the grind of just, working up their levels and doing, a little bit more damage to each enemy each level that they go to. And I don't know, I just don't like it right now.
Yeah, it is definitely more of kind of a focused market of games, I think.
It's the
Like,
same
not
thing.
everyone has the time
Yeah.
to level.
And again, like I can get into them sometimes. Like I played Borderlands 1, I played all the way through that. I enjoyed that. Although I know this is weird, but I really like not necessarily the story of Borderlands 1, but just, I guess, kind of the story. Like I just like the idea that you come to a planet and you're a vault hunter, and like there's this idea that there's another or a bunch of other people that are hunting for this vault, and it's just weird, and you have this voice in your head that's telling you to do these things, and like there's a very clear end game. And I know that there's an end game in Destiny, but I mean, like, there's an end to the game.
Yeah, Destiny's end game is not clear in the slightest.
Yeah. And so, like, there's something for me to. I'm rambling so much, but maybe this is what I'm trying to say, is that when there's no indication that a game will ever end, then that gives me no incentive to want to finish, because there is no finish. And but at the same time, like, I know that that's what people want. Like, I know that's one of the reasons why you play that game, because, like, you can just play it forever, and, like, there is no ends to Destiny. Hi Vermont, how are you? But yeah, for me, like, I need some incentive to get to an end of something.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I say that as I play Call of Duty all the time now. That
games like Anno.
Well,
or does Anno have an end?
There's definitely an end to Anno.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point, because, like, you can play Anno forever, I guess, but you're always working towards something. And I know you can say that towards Destiny too, but I guess I feel like the rewards are just not that interesting enough for me to want to achieve it.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, you've said that you don't think the shooting feel in Destiny is, like, as good as people say it is, whereas, in my opinion, I think it's one of the better. So, like, like, grinding to get this new weapon that will feel really good in the hands and also have cool perks, it gives me that incentive, whereas I can definitely see why you wouldn't have that kind of desire to get a certain weapon or even armor piece, I think.
I know I'm in the minority with that, and I can't explain it. The best thing that I can explain or say is that, like, if I compare, if Destiny felt like Doom, the gunplay and the gameplay of Doom, then I would basically be addicted to Destiny, because I just think the gunplay and gameplay of Doom, particularly 2016, but even the earlier Dooms, were just so much better, and so much more. The enemy AI is so much better.
I can agree with that.
And maybe part of it too is like in Doom, you have a limited number of weapons, and like you do upgrade your weapons. You do get upgrades for your weapons. But in Destiny, I just feel like it's such a tiny upgrade. Like I get, a weapon that does 5 more damage.
Yeah.
And then I get a weapon that does 5 more damage, and then the only thing I do is I go and I fight an enemy that's a level higher, and it's like you're never really doing that much more damage to enemies.
Yeah, the kind of thing in terms of damage in Destiny, I think, is a weapon that is good at crowd control, like a rocket launcher with bombs that come off of the rocket when it explodes. Like that kind of rocket launcher would then be really effective against a certain boss, which in turn then makes the gun do more damage than your average like kinetic weapon would, or your primary weapon. It's called kinetic in game, but it's just your primary weapon.
Do you ever get weapons in Destiny that well, let me back up. For example, like in Borderlands, one of my favorite things was getting like going through and getting a boss weapon, and getting that boss weapon that will just like destroy enemies for like the next few levels at least. Do you get things like that in Destiny?
Yeah, there are definitely I don't know how much it is at the moment, but like in Destiny 1 for sure, there's like strike specific loot. So like a certain boss at the end of a strike will drop specific armor pieces or specific weapons that then look unique and have a unique set of perks that are kind of designed to be good for a certain thing. So like one of the weapons in Destiny 1 that was a strike specific weapon was basically a copy of a raid weapon. And so it was a way to get a gun with very similar perks to this raid weapon, but without having to do the raid. And it was then very good at high damage overall on certain or like singular enemies. So it was a really good PvE weapon because like you could one-shot enemies in the head, and then they'd explode, and then if they killed an enemy with that explosion, then that explosion would chain. So there's to answer your question more simply, yes, there is like boss specific weapons and armor.
I guess
it's just very hard to come by.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like they're too few for me to be interested. And that's one of the things that always confuses me about these looter shooters nowadays. It's like every time they talk to the developers and like all these articles talk about the games, and they're like, yeah, we're talking about the end game and how good the end game is. And they don't ever talk about like how fun the lead up to the end game is. And a lot of times it's not fun. And that is just like exactly opposite of what I want. Like I want a game to be amazing, and then if there's something more at the end, like that's just a bonus to me. But I don't want to just grind mindlessly for. And I know this makes no sense because I'm literally doing that in Call of Duty.
I guess you get enjoyment out of Call of Duty, which is why you do it.
Yeah, and at the same time, I totally understand. I know that like you do this with Destiny, where you just play it while you're like watching a show or listening to music or something like that. And that's a lot of what I do with Call of Duty. With Call of Duty, I guess for me, what I enjoy about it is definitely that aspect of just it's something to do while I'm like watching a podcast or listening to a podcast or watching a show that I don't have to pay super close attention to or anything like that. And the daily rewards are just enticing enough for me to, want to do them. They're usually interesting enough. Like, there was one the other day that was like, get 10 kills with a weapon with 0 attachments. And so, like I'm always changing the weapons that I'm using. And so that feels interesting. The weapons feel quite different as far as the classes of weapons. Like a shotgun obviously feels very different from like a light machine gun or something like that. And then the number of attachments are just crazy with Call of Duty. Um, and then like you literally level up the attachments. So like, you know, your scope is leveling up, and so you can change the reticle of the scope by leveling it up. They also this is kind of a complaint, but also kind of a nice thing. They keep changing the game modes, which is nice because they're adding some cool game modes. Like they just added a game mode called Crank, which is I think they've had this before, where it's team deathmatch, but you have 30 seconds after you kill someone to kill another person, and if you don't kill a person, then you die and start over. They keep changing gun game, or gunfight. I always get those confused. Whichever one.
Yeah, gunfight.
Yeah, they keep changing this, which really made me mad. But they took it back. But they changed it to where you start out without a weapon, and you have to like run and pick up a weapon. And to me, the greatest thing about that mode was everyone starts with the exact same weapons. So it's a level playing field, but they changed it to where, you know, you'll get like a pistol and the other person will have like a light machine gun or something like that. But they changed it back now. I don't understand why they don't just give you the choice, because like it can be fun to start like that, but I just want the choice. And I think that's what a lot of people are frustrated about. But yeah, they changed it back.
I saw a lot of complaints about that change.
They changed it back to where you get the choice now. They also added a cool mode called Infected, which is actually really fun. I think I may have talked about this last time, where
I think you did.
Everybody starts on the same team, and there's AI that are infected, and they are just like rushing at you. They're like zombies, and you kill them. Once you're killed, then you turn into the infected and have to try and kill the other people. That's pretty fun. I still really, really, really would like to do the co-op stuff, but I feel like you just have to have 4 people to get together, and that just is pretty much impossible.
Is there like an actual story behind all that, or is it kind of
they have. There is story. Like it continues the main story. It's not like super in depth, but like they have cutscenes to it and everything. It's pretty cool.
Because if they were to adjust, or if they were to balance the difficulty for that to make it viable for 4 players and for like a solo player, I think that could be, or maybe they make it 2 to 4 players is kind of the difference. And depending on how many people are in the party, it adjusts the difficulty or something like that.
Yeah, it's just frustrating to me that you can't like play by yourself with AI teammates or something like that.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Or just adjust it to where you can play solo. It doesn't seem like it would be that hard, but I don't know what they're doing with that.
I guess the draw of it is that it's meant to be played co-op rather than solo, because solo would just be like campaign DLC in a way, I think.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, but you know, COD, they have to have like 3 game modes in everything.
Yeah.
Or 3 main kind of genres of thing. I don't know how to describe it. 3's their lucky number.
You don't even get 3 AI friends. I know. I want some AI friends.
Not the ones from Wildlands, though.
Goodness. I was thinking about Breakpoint the other day. I still kind of like that game. Like I can see myself maybe getting back into it at some point.
I don't know if I could personally, unless they like really optimize it and get it running well, and then make changes that are like good for the core gameplay loop.
I wonder if they are going to keep working on it, because you know Ubisoft really does that. They usually start out with a really bad game, and then they keep working on it, and like a year or 2 later, it'll turn out to be like Rainbow Six Siege or something like that.
Yeah. What is the game? Division.
Yeah,
Division
that's a good point. I feel like they just had way too many things that they were trying to do with that game. Way too many mechanics and things like that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Anyway, yeah, as far as what I've been playing, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I played a little, or I started playing. I started a new campaign of Super Mario Odyssey.
Nice.
I've been wanting to replay that ever since I finished Luigi's Mansion.
Hmm.
Just because I wanted to just, a fun, jolly game like that.
Yeah,
And I really like Odyssey.
I do too.
Have you? What other Mario games have you played?
Only the like side scroll ones. Like I've never played Mario Sunshine or Mario 64, even though I would like to. I just like haven't either gotten round to setting up an emulator or I haven't like got one of the old school consoles.
Yeah,
So
same for me. I played Galaxy
oh, I played
after.
Galaxy actually. Yeah,
Have you? Have you played Galaxy too?
maybe not finished it. I definitely beat one though.
Yeah, I couldn't. I couldn't finish two. It was
Hmm.
too hard. Super Mario Galaxy 1, though, I thought was really, really good, and I would love so much. The only thing that I didn't like about that was the motion controls.
Hmm.
And I would love so much for them to remaster that game and put it on Switch without the motion controls, or at least give you
That'd
the
be cool.
option.
Hmm.
Because I thought the level design in Galaxy was quite a bit better than Odyssey,
Hmm.
and just the way that you have the worlds and things like that, or the little mini planets, and the way that gravity would work in that game. I
Hmm.
thought that was really, really well done.
Have you
Um,
played Mario 3D World on the Wii U?
no, yeah, I see Vermalt talking about that. I've heard so many people talk about that. I
I
definitely
have
want
played that
to
one as
play
well.
that.
Yeah,
You have?
I have. Yeah.
Okay.
I never beat it, but it was definitely one of the. I mean, I haven't played that many Mario games, but it was one of the more enjoyable ones for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely like to try that. I'd definitely like to play Sunshine because I know a lot of people have
Yep.
said that that's one of their favorites. But sadly, I don't think you can emulate that very well because at least I don't know, maybe you can, but I think there's like some weird control
Hmm.
method that Sunshine used, like with the pressure sensitivity of the controller, and
Hmm.
I don't know how well it is emulated.
You could probably pick up a GameCube pretty cheap and play through it on there.
Yeah, I would rather emulate it though, so that I could like have it run at high resolution.
Ah, fair. Yeah.
Because I did that with what was it? Some GameCube game, and it honestly looked amazing.
Hmm.
But yeah, other than that, I've been playing a little bit of Jurassic World Evolution.
Yep.
Um, I don't really even know why I went back to that game, but I was kind of wanting a like a city builder type game, and
Uh-huh.
I think I know why I went back, because they had a new expansion where you can rebuild the original park and like
Ooh.
explore the original park and everything. I haven't bought it yet because it's like $20, and I don't really know
Hmm.
if I want to spend that much on it because I barely played a little. I barely played any of the original, so I've been playing
Hmm.
more of the original, and I actually really, really like that game. It's really, really fun. It's really well done. It's not too hard. But yeah, so I'm building a little Jurassic World land. See you later, ODM. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you have a great day. And that's pretty much it. I got Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yep.
I finally bit the bullet and got that on PC.
Nice.
Don't really know when I'm gonna play that, but um, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to getting invested into that.
I think the issue with that is if you start it up even just to try it out, you probably end up playing through the entire intro section.
Yeah, probably so. But yeah, I haven't really been playing a whole lot else. Have you gotten anything in the Steam sale?
um, not in the Steam sale in particular. One of the games in the Steam sale was one I wanted to buy, but I found it somewhere cheaper, which was Max Payne 3, coincidentally. Um, I was also contemplating buying Disco Elysium because we're both very much want to try that game, but I don't think either of us have yet.
I got
So
Disco Elysium. I don't think I
I
told you.
did I did see you bought it. I was because I like on the Steam page you can see if any of
Yeah,
your friends own it. So I saw you picked it up. I'm just waiting on one update that they've been
widescreen.
saying that it's coming out. Yeah, in the discussions they kind of they've been keeping up to date, thankfully, and saying that they've got it coming soon, and their kind of main art director's working on it. But it's not going to be out this year, I don't think. So I'm just waiting to pick it up.
I feel like I was going to say something else about the Steam sale. I think what I was going to
the Epic Store.
Oh yeah,
like, in regards to the coupon.
So if you guys don't know, there are some insanely good deals going on the Epic Game Store. They're having their normal sale as it is, but you also get a $10 coupon that you can use on any game, $14.99 or above, or equivalents to your currency, and then you just get another coupon whenever you buy it. So you basically just get $10 off every game that you buy. It's a really good deal. As long as it's above $15, yeah. But yeah, like Division 2 is $5.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick that up. I mean, I feel like I would be crazy not to for $5. I think
you can get the gold edition for like £6 something. I don't know what that converts to in dollars, but
probably like
that may be like
$8 or $9, $7 or $8.
Yeah, that may be worth the extra few bucks.
They're also
going to buy it.
They're also giving away a game every day for 12 days.
I haven't seen the game today, actually.
I haven't either. I was just booting Epic Game Store up to see.
It's super hot, which is definitely worth it.
It's a good game, yeah. I definitely want to play some more Phoenix Point.
They finally added that to Game Pass.
I saw that, yeah.
Which is nice, so I might check that out.
They also added Wreckfest to Origin Access. I kind of wanted to check that out. I think it's the premiere version though. So I kind of want to check that out. I've heard pretty good things about that. Looks like it'd be pretty fun. I want to play some more Anno. I made a big list of games.
Yeah, I have kind of a list in my mind of games I need to get to. I also kind of I tried to make desktop shortcuts for all the games I have installed, and then kind of list them in order of when I want to play them or when I should prioritize them.
Do you ever do anything with like the Steam categories, or like make your own?
Yeah, categories? I have my own categories on Steam. I have like main games, and then secondary games, and then just the rest of my games, which helps with my quote unquote OCD quite a bit.
I did something yesterday that I really enjoyed doing this, and I think I'm going to continue. I wanted to go through basically every game that came out this year, and you know, not every game, but just looking through all the games and just picking out any game that is noteworthy. So I went through and I did that yesterday, and I got through the first 3 months. And came up with a pretty good list, and I think I can keep doing that. Probably do some more streams of that, and then I don't really know what I want to do with that list, but I think it'll help me to like pick out my favorite games of the year, maybe like, you know, worst games of the year. I think I've determined that 2019 I'm calling it the year of the unfinished game. Both because I've started so many games in 2019 that I just fell off of and didn't finish. And then also there's a bunch of games that just were unfinished, like Breakpoint and Anthem.
Yeah. I think that's a suitable name. Also, it's kind of the year of unfinished games because we're waiting on many unfinished games that are then coming out in 2020.
That's true, yeah.
So the name definitely works.
Well, let's see. That's pretty much all the games that we've been playing, I believe. There's not really
thing.
Oh, go for it.
My dad is very much into like Blade Runner. And they released the Blade Runner game on GOG.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And he picked that up yesterday and played it for like 3 hours straight. And even just seeing him play it made me install it. So despite it literally being older than I am, I'm pretty excited to check it out because it looks pretty cool. It's like a point and click type game.
Yeah. I was very tempted to get that too because I've never played it, but I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah. my dad definitely influenced my decision to install it.
Very cool. Yeah. I was actually watching 2049 again the other night.
Oh yeah,
Love that movie.
I'm I'm really hoping they release that in like the movie theaters again because I want to go and see it in the theater just to
Yeah.
experience it.
Seeing that movie in IMAX is one of the greatest
I
experiences.
I can't even imagine.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's move on.
Hmm.
There's basically no news.
Yeah, news has been very lackluster.
Not a lot happening. But you've been watching a bunch of stuff that I'm excited
Yes,
to
it's
talk
been
about.
a rather cinematic week for me. It's
So
also been my first week off college, so I've definitely had more time to watch stuff. So the first thing is a film I've been meaning to watch for a while, which was Goodfellas, because I watched Godfather 1 and Part 2. I still need to watch Part 3, but I watched Part 1 and Part 2, and I wanted to continue watching the same kind of gangster type films, but never really got round to it because I was in anticipation of The Irishman, um, and I still haven't even watched that because it came out and it's like 3.5 hours long, which is even longer than The Godfather Part Two, which is like the longest movie I've ever watched in my life. Um, so I'm kind of like waiting to be able to dedicate an entire day to watch that because probably take up my entire day. But yeah, Goodfellas I watched and it was like pretty good. Um, I knew it was good and I knew it was kind of one of Scorsese's best, and it definitely kind of the opinions I'd been given definitely reflected well on what I saw and kind of um, thought about the movie in general. I think it was weird because I've heard the name Joe Pesci quite a lot when I've been like investigating gangster movies, and I never realized Joe Pesci is the guy from Home Alone,
yeah.
which was kind of hilarious when I saw him in Goodfellas. It was like, wait, that's the guy from Home Alone. Um, So yeah, that was pretty cool to see. De Niro, while he isn't in the movie a whole lot, he he's in it quite a bit, but like he's not the main character or anything. His character was pretty well acted in classic De Niro fashion, and the main actor or like the main protagonist, I don't think I've seen the actor in anything else that I can think of, but he was like surprisingly good. I got a very kind of Wolf of Wall Street type feel off the guy.
Hmm.
Um, or like Leonardo DiCaprio's version of that character, um, which was nice because Wolf of Wall Street's another Scorsese film, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of makes sense.
Have you seen Wolf of Wall Street?
I have.
Squash, you're too young to watch these
I,
movies.
it's even better because I watched it like 2 or 3 years
Oh
ago.
my goodness.
Yeah, I want to rewatch it though because it's a pretty damn good movie. Um, but yeah, Goodfellas, it has given me like the spark to want to watch more gangster films, but I also now want to watch through the entire Star Wars saga. So who knows? Who knows what order I'll do it all in?
Vermont says that she doesn't. She hates Home Alone.
Hate is a strong word.
That is a strong word. I definitely wouldn't say that it's like, one of my favorite movies, but
No,
um
it's one of my favorite Christmas movies.
oh, what is your favorite Christmas movie? What is everyone's favorite Christmas movie?
I mean, you kind of got to say Die Hard, right?
Oh man, Squash, I love you. I was just about to bring up Die Hard, and I want to watch Die Hard every Christmas, but my family doesn't ever want to watch it because they're like, that's not a Christmas movie. But it is a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie.
I
Sure.
love Die Hard.
Man, I'm definitely gonna watch. That's the only Die Hard movie I've ever seen is Die Hard 1.
Really?
I think I should probably keep it that way.
Oh,
But
I don't know. Die Hard 2 is really good. And wait, I always get confused. Die Hard 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all really good. It's the last one that's awful that I've never watched, and I don't think I ever will watch it.
I thought 4 was the one that was like the most recent one, or was it 5 that was the most
No,
recent
5 is the most recent one. 4 is really
Okay.
good. I think it's called Live Free or Die Hard.
I think I may have seen like the final like third of that movie. It may have been like on telly, and I kind of turned it on and just decided to
I
watch
mean,
it.
okay, the first one is like 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
2,
yeah.
3, and 4 are like solid 7, 8 out of 10.
Mhm.
5 I've heard is just like awful though, like
Okay.
2 out of 10. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. It's the best one. I agree, Remote.
For sure.
What are other good Christmas movies though? I mean,
If I had to give my favorite Christmas movie, like based on people who don't think Die Hard is a Christmas movie, it would probably be one of the Home Alone movies, just because they're the ones I've seen the most.
oh really?
Yeah, like I think I prefer Home Alone 2 over Home Alone 1. Just because like I've watched Home Alone 2 every single Christmas pretty much since I was born, so it's definitely up there. But that's, I guess, based on nostalgia, and that literally just seeing that film on makes me think about Christmas. So
What about
I
the
don't know.
Santa Claus? Have you seen the Santa Claus with Tim Allen?
I don't know. There's a lot of Christmas movies that kind of have Santa and Claus in the name. Is it like The Santa Claus
I think it's the Santa Claus. That's pretty good.
from '94? I have seen that one. Yeah, that is pretty good. But I think I've literally only ever seen it once.
I just love Tim Allen. Did you ever watch Home Improvement?
I haven't. No.
Oh man, I used to love Home Improvement. That was his show that he did. Man, I feel like I'm blanking on Christmas movies.
Let me just search up best Christmas movie.
That's what I'm doing. I mean, It's a Wonderful Life is very much a classic.
I've not seen that. Oh, The Nightmare Before Christmas is pretty good. Although that's kind of a Halloween / Christmas movie. So
Yeah.
Oh, The Muppets Christmas Carol is pretty iconic for me. But that's a very British movie, I think. I don't think that's very big in America, but I'm not sure.
Oh, that's interesting. Hey, Septimus. Koala says that you watched the Lord of the Rings extended versions over Christmas with a friend. That was the most fun I've ever had over Christmas.
Mhm.
That I did something similar. I watched it by myself one time. It wasn't during Christmas, but it was. I can't remember when it was. It was during the winter sometime, but I don't know why. I don't know if I'll ever get in this mood again. But I was just really in the really in the mood to watch the Lord of the Rings, and so I got the extended versions. They're 4 hours each.
Oh my god!
And I watched all 3 of them back to back in one day, and it was just like the greatest experience ever. If you're really in the mood for those, there's nothing that beats those.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever seen the extended versions.
I think they're pretty good. I mean, they're definitely like they definitely drag out some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's pretty great if you're in the mood for it.
Yeah.
Zeptimus says It's a Wonderful Life is his favorite. You watch that every year with your dad? Oh, that's awesome. It's a Wonderful Life is definitely a classic.
I've never seen it.
Other Christmas movies.
I've heard Elf is pretty good with Will Ferrell, but I've never seen that, even though I want to see
didn't
it.
love Elf.
Fair enough.
I'm not really a huge what's his name? Will Ferrell. I'm not really a huge Will Ferrell fan. Have you ever seen?
I'm a pretty big fan, mainly because I love Step Brothers so much.
Have you ever seen Christmas Vacation? Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation?
No, I haven't.
That's pretty good.
The Grinch movies with Jim Carrey aren't the worst. They're pretty enjoyable.
Yeah.
There really isn't that many kind of big Christmas movies.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised looking at the lists. There's not really that much. Septimus, you love Lord of the Rings movies, and extended versions are great. Sounds like an awesome Christmas tradition. I agree. I feel like the Harry Potter movies would be really good to watch during Christmas too.
hmm Is
Um,
Gremlins a Christmas movie?
I don't know. I think I've only seen Gremlins one time, and it was a long, long time ago, and I don't remember anything about it.
Gremlins is a pretty good movie. I'm honestly with Koala.
You
I'm
don't
not
like the
gonna
Harry Potter movies? You guys better watch out because Verms is gonna come for you.
lie. Uh-oh.
Okay. Well, I don't know how we got talking about that. Anyway, Goodfellas,
Yep, Goodfellas is a good movie if you like gangster type stuff.
and it's a
for
true
sure.
story too. That's what I love.
Yes, true.
Have you ever, or you may not have, but you should look up on YouTube. There's some interviews with the actual, um, what's his name?
Henry something.
Henry. Yeah. There's some interviews with him, and it's just interesting to hear him talk about it.
Yeah, I instantly looked up afterwards whether Henry was still alive, and I kind of saw images of Henry with the actor who played him, which was pretty cool to
Oh,
see.
nice.
Because I know in other movies as well, like Margot Robbie when she did the movie, like the ice skating movie,
Hmm.
she actually went and visited like the actual person
Yeah.
and kind of built the character based on what she got from the person she met, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely I tweeted it out after I saw the movie, but like I don't agree with. I think if you know me, you obviously know I don't agree with Scorsese's views on the Marvel movies.
Hmm.
But like I got to give him credit that
He's
he
a
can make a pretty
dang
damn
good
movie.
director, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty good.
What else have you been watching?
Well, I finished up Watchmen because final episode of that came out, and it's definitely I don't know whether it's the best show I've seen this year because I watched Breaking Bad through for the first time this year.
Mm.
But Watchmen is definitely like up there with some of the greats in my eyes. It kind of holds this mystery to it throughout the show, and really, it's. I love shows where they make you. Well, they don't make you, but they kind of try to influence you into coming up with what could be happening as the show goes on.
Yeah.
And Watchmen definitely does that early on, but then it also comes together in a way that's satisfying and like you'd honestly never think of it. Like they have really good surprises, good plot twists and stuff. The character arcs are pretty great. Um, One episode in particular was just amazing. I can't remember which one, but I think if you watch it, you'll know which one I'm talking about. Um, and I think while the finale may be confusing, like at the very end, and it definitely had a cliffhanger type ending because they're obviously going to make a season 2. I think, as much as I may not want them to because of how it ended, but I don't know, it pays off, and not having any prior knowledge of like the Watchmen series going into this, it helped that I have a friend in college who's pretty big into the Watchmen type stuff. And so while I was watching, he was obviously watching along. And so if there was ever something I was confused about, he could kind of tell me the backstory behind it. But even without that, I think I would have had a pretty solid idea of what was happening in the show. Yeah, it's on HBO in America, or I don't know what the EU like TV channels are called, but it's Sky Atlantic in the UK. And I recommend watching it if you can get a hold of it.
Cool.
I can talk about Star Wars if you want.
Yeah, let's talk about Star Wars.
Okay. I'll
'Cause it's been a bit controversial, it seems like.
For sure. It's been very, very mixed, and I'll preface this entire conversation with the fact that I absolutely hated The Last Jedi. I don't have anything against Ryan Johnson because I think Knives Out was pretty good. And other movies he's done in the past isn't terrible. The episode he directed of Breaking Bad was pretty good. And also, I don't have anything against the actor who plays Rose in Last Jedi. But man, there is something about that movie I just do not like. I can't put my finger on it. but it's just cringy at times. It makes me want to curl up in a ball and cry.
Wait, which movie?
They just The Last Jedi.
Oh, yeah, the last one, the last movie,
Yeah,
or
not The Rise
well,
of Skywalker, which is the one I saw
episode
yesterday.
8, right?
Episode 8, yeah. But yeah, long story short, I really didn't like The Last Jedi. Neither did my dad. And we both went to watch The Rise of Skywalker last night with a mate of his as well. And we all came out pretty satisfied, I think. I and my dad are both pretty huge fans of Star Wars. We both grew up on it. I am a bigger fan of the prequels than most, mainly because they kind of came out as I was growing up. So I kind of have that nostalgic feel for them, whereas most people have the nostalgic feel for the original trilogy. Although I still love the original trilogy, I just kind of like the prequels more than most. And so
I think I
when
might
the
like the
sequels,
prequels more too.
I don't know whether I like them more than the original trilogy. They're kind of on par with each other.
Look, I'm
But
just
the
gonna say it,
prequels are
but
definitely good.
episode 4, the very first Star Wars, is pretty boring.
Honestly, I don't think you're wrong. If that's the first Star Wars movie you watch, I think it would be pretty boring. But like if you watch 1, 2, 3, and then 4,
Yeah, if you watch them in that order, and you know, like if you watch that for the very first time in 1977 when that first came out, I'm sure it was the most amazing thing ever.
yeah,
But I rewatched those not too long ago, and
Mhm.
the original Star Wars is like there's not a whole lot that happens in that movie. Like there's not a lot of fight scenes. There's a
Mhm.
little bit of fighting with the lightsabers, but there's not a whole lot. Like it's basically just the ending where Luke shoots the blows up the Death Star.
The Death Star, yeah. And I think that's why Empire is probably most people's favorite Star
Yeah.
Wars, mine included. At least I think so. I really need to rewatch the entire saga, which is what I'm going to do since seeing Rise of Skywalker. But
Well,
currently,
just sign up for Disney Plus and you'll be good to go, right?
moving on swiftly,
I'm sorry.
Rise of Skywalker is probably my third favorite of all the movies.
Okay.
It was thoroughly enjoyable. I felt emotional at times. I got goosebumps more times than I can count from the times like the music played and things just came together really well. I think both in the scene, like in the moment, and also as an overarching story. The characters all seemed to bounce off each other really well. The chemistry was great between everyone. It felt like watching Finn, Rey, and what's his name? I'm blanking.
Poe?
Yeah, Poe. Watching Finn, Rey, and Poe really felt like watching Luke, Leia, and Han. And then because obviously Lando Calrissian is in Rise of Skywalker, if you haven't seen the trailers or anything, he also kind of adds to that nostalgic type feel. But what am I saying? I just did it again. Rise of Skywalker, I don't really get why it's so controversial because I honestly wonder if the movie I saw was the same movie other people saw. Because some of the bad things that people are saying about it, I just don't get the hate for it. Like, I suppose most of the people I've seen hating on it also didn't like The Last Jedi that much, or people. It's kind of a balance, really. People like The Last Jedi and then hated Rise of Skywalker, or hated The Last Jedi but then didn't really mind but didn't like Rise of Skywalker. Whereas I'm kind of the opposite in that I didn't like The Last Jedi a whole lot at all, but then really, really loved Rise of Skywalker.
I loved what was the name of episode 7?
Force Awakens.
I really liked The Force Awakens. I know a lot of people didn't like that. Well, I guess a lot of people say, which this is true, it is literally the exact same movie as the original Star Wars. But I still really liked it.
Honestly, in terms of how much I like the sequels, I'd compare it to the prequels. I think The Force Awakens is like The Phantom Menace. Last Jedi is like Attack of the Clones. And then Revenge of the Sith is like Rise of Skywalker. In my terms of personal enjoyment of all the movies, like Attack of the Clones and The Last Jedi are both at the bottom of my most liked list. Whereas like Revenge of the Sith and Rise of the Skywalker are both like very much up there. I don't know. I think if you're a fan of Star Wars, if you're like, I'd consider myself a pretty avid fan. I kind of know above average amount of lore, I think, behind the whole world. And going into Rise of Skywalker, I thought all of the plot holes from The Last Jedi were filled in well and appropriately in Rise of Skywalker. There wasn't really any questions left unanswered in the end, which was nice. It definitely felt like it was the end of the saga, that there wasn't going to be any more, even though, they're going to do more because it's Disney and it's Star Wars. And, they have to make that money. So
it's a money printing machine. Of course they're going to do more.
Yeah. Whether they'll start a new saga or what, I think they're doing a new trilogy, which I expect will then evolve into a whole nother 9-movie thing probably, but
it's never going to end. Yeah, well, the DB Weiss and David Benioff were signed on to work on that, but that fell through.
Yep. They say it's because they decided to leave the project, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got kicked off.
Yeah.
Because of what they did with Game of Thrones.
Oh, what a disaster.
Also, it's like they rushed Game of Thrones to be able to work on Star Wars, and then they don't even end up doing Star Wars. It's like, what was the point of rushing Game of Thrones then? Why?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think I'm ever going to get over Game of Thrones.
I don't think, honestly, the directors are honestly ever going to be able to get over it either.
I've just never seen such an amazing story being told that wrapped up so poorly and so just terribly, and just like there's no reason that they should have done that. They could have kept that going, and they should have kept that going for at least 2 or 3 more seasons.
Yeah.
And what a mess. What a shame.
I really hope you like Rise of Skywalker, though.
I think I'm honestly going to like it. I mean, I'm not nearly as big of a Star Wars fan as a lot of people are. I mean, when I was a kid, I was a huge Star Wars fan. Like I made a green lightsaber out of a stick and wore a black glove to be like Luke Skywalker. But as I've gotten older, like I just enjoy watching them just for like a blockbuster type movie, and don't really think too much about the plot or anything like that. So I'm sure I'll enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing it. But yeah, I'll have to let you know what I think.
Please do. I don't want it to be another thing that we disagree on heavily. So
what do we disagree on heavily?
Quite a few things.
Like movies? I'm trying to think of something. I mean
BioShock.
Well, you're just wrong about BioShock.
Oh, okay.
No, I understand. Like, I don't feel like well, I guess we do disagree, but like, I understand why you don't like it.
We don't disagree like in a negative way. We kind of agree to disagree on most things. Respectfully disagree.
Yeah. Well, I think something that we both agree on is that The Witcher is pretty great.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
So I think we are both at the same point on The Witcher. We've watched up to episode 5. There's 8 episodes?
Yeah, there's 8 episodes in total.
I feel like I have a different feeling about The Witcher than probably a lot of people do. I'm going to preface this by saying that I am The Witcher 1 in particular. I mean, the Witcher series in general is just easily one of my favorite games of all time. The Witcher 1 just literally changed my life as far as the way I think about video games and storytelling in video games. I get this huge rush of nostalgia from replaying The Witcher 1, which I've been doing. I was even playing a little bit while I was watching the show. And with all of that being said, like I know that the TV show is taking after the books, so things are a lot different than. I mean, some things are very similar, but other things are very different. I'm very confused on some of the timelines.
I agree, honestly.
I guess I'll start with the good. So I mean, I think Henry Cavill nails Geralt.
Oh, for sure.
I think he is just perfect for this character. I never was like really upset about him playing him. It seems like there were a lot of people that were questioning whether he was going to do a good job, but I think he just does perfect and fits the character perfect, and really understands like what makes Geralt.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I could see another person play Geralt, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
when I think about it,
there were so many people talking about. I can't remember his name, but there's another guy that looks so much like Geralt, and everybody was like, "Oh, he should play Geralt." But looks are not. To me, I would much rather have someone that maybe doesn't look exactly like Geralt in the games, but is a much better actor and like much better at understanding the character than just have somebody that looks like him.
Yeah. I think some people wanted Nikolai Coster-Waldau to play Geralt.
I think that's who I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who plays Jaime in Game of Thrones.
Oh no, I was thinking about someone else.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to think how he would be as Geralt. I don't know. I honestly think Henry Cavill just does a really good job.
He's also incredibly buff, which helps.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, everything else, I guess I'm enjoying everything. I think the sword play is fantastically done, especially in that first episode. They have that long continuous shot towards the end. And I've watched that like 3 times, and I don't know how in the world they filmed that. Do you think it was like a CG sword or something?
I honestly don't know. It's that like good looking.
Yeah, because if you guys haven't seen it, it's worth watching just for that one part. They have like a I don't know, like a minute long shot of Geralt taking out like 6 or 7 enemies, and I mean he's like stabbing them through the face and things like that, and they don't cut away. That's what's amazing to me. So I don't know how they do that, but it's impressive.
It really is.
But yeah, so my biggest negatives towards it are not really negatives, but I'm just kind of worried because it seems like they are really going through a lot of plots really quickly. And like they're giving us just a lot of meat, but without much extra stuff, and like kind of explaining a lot of things. It's like they're giving me a really good steak without any seasoning, or like without salt and pepper or anything like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I don't know. I'm a little worried, like just how quickly they're going through things. I wish that they would kind of pad things out a little bit more.
Have you ever read any of the books?
Well, I haven't, and that's why maybe I just can't, or I don't have any say in this because I haven't read any of the books. But I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I ask people if they've read the books, but I myself haven't. I just know a lot of what happens in the books because my dad's read through them all, and he's talked to me kind of at length about them. And I think the part of one of the books I have read is literally just episode 3 of The Witcher. Like that whole episode is based on kind of the extract of one of the books that I read, and that was really cool to see.
Last Wish?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the very beginning of that book is pretty much episode 3
Hmm.
Just as all the Geralt parts of episode 3. Um, but in the show in general, I think I agree with you for sure in that the sword and combat choreography is some of the best out there. It honestly is on par, if not better than some of the Game of Thrones scenes, especially the later ones.
Yeah.
Um, the like the first 30 minutes of the first episode had me a bit worried because it felt kind of corny.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the episode, it definitely kind of cleared up and felt much more like what I was expecting, which was nice. And then it just continued to get better and better as the episodes went on.
The very
Um,
first scene in the very first episode with that, where he's fighting that monster, the CG just looked a little, I don't know, not great
yeah,
to me.
it was pretty bad.
It looked kind of cheesy.
Yeah, there's a couple times they kind of, I don't know whether it's intentional or not, but it seems like they kind of struggled to strike a balance in regards to how they portrayed like the monsters and stuff.
Yeah.
Because some of the time they use like real world models that are walking around, and then other times it's CG,
Yeah.
and it's like really obviously CG.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird in that sense, but I wonder if that's because of the smaller budget and like if in season 2 it'll be better. I do kind of wish they. There's a part of me that wants them to do completely like live action models that look really good, but are like um, I don't know, they work well rather than everything being CG. Because with Netflix movies and shows, the CG tends to not be very good. So I think it would lessen the quality of the show if it was um, all CG. So I suppose they kind of have got a balance in this season with mixing things up, but yeah, the like you were saying earlier, the human combat is all really good. I don't know how they do some of it, but yeah, the story is definitely, because my dad's also watching the show, so he can kind of directly compare, and he has literally said it's almost, well, not word for word, but kind of scene for scene from the books, and he kind of knows what's coming, but is still enjoying it, which is nice to know. And I won't say what he's told me because I it would probably class as spoilers, but like some of the stuff that he said is coming is pretty exciting, and it also is reassuring to know that some of that stuff's going to happen, and that, like you were saying, it's not all kind of going to be pushed out at once and not make a whole lot of sense. Like I think it will probably come together pretty well.
Yeah, I guess that's my biggest fear, and I mean, I guess that's good to hear because it just seems like they're going through so many plots that
Yeah.
I thought was going to take them like multiple episodes to get through, or maybe even like seasons to get through.
Hmm.
I will say I think it was episode 2 where he fights the Striga that is Princess Ada.
That's episode 3.
Oh, is that episode? Wait, is that episode 3?
Episode 2 is Yennefer's introduction. Like that entire episode is based on Yennefer, isn't it?
I can't
Episode 2
remember.
is with well, I don't know whether I should say this, with the bard and the desert place that he walks through with said bard.
Okay.
Yeah, that's episode 2.
Whichever that one was where he rescues Princess Ada.
Yeah.
That if you haven't watched the intro to The Witcher 1, you have got to go and watch the intro because it's so interesting how similar it is to, there's like an 8-minute cinematic that CD Projekt Red did of that episode, basically, of him, doing
In the castle, yeah.
well, wait, are we talking about the same thing?
I don't know.
The one where he ties that guy up and like uses him as bait for.
Yep.
That's in a castle? I thought it was like.
Yeah, it's in like it's in Temeria.
I thought it was.
The
Well, yeah, it's in
Temerian
Temeria.
castle.
Yeah, it's like in the dungeon area or whatever, though.
Yeah, it's in like a crypt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's episode that because when I'm talking about the scene that was pretty much directly from the book, that was the episode I was talking about.
Wait, that's the last wish?
Yeah, that's like the very beginning of the Last Wish, I think.
I see. This is my problem because I haven't read the book. So I thought the last wish was with Yennefer, where he gets the djinn.
That's episode 5.
Yeah.
And I haven't read about that, I don't think. Because from what I read of the books, Yennefer was not introduced, at least fully. I think they talked about Triss briefly, because Triss is in episode 3. Also, I don't like how they did Triss, by the way. Maybe it's just because I haven't read about Triss a whole lot, and I've seen her only in the games, but it's...
See, I feel
like Triss.
Saucy Nuggets, thank you so much for the bits. I have very different feelings, I feel like, about Triss than a lot of people do, because playing the first Witcher, you're introduced to Twiss, to Triss, like, right off the bat. And you're not introduced to Yennefer until literally the third Witcher. And so I was much more interested in Triss, and I chose Triss in The Witcher 3 because I felt like I had such a better relationship with her. And that Geralt did.
I didn't know that, actually.
What?
I didn't know that, like, The Witcher 3 was Yennefer's first appearance.
Yeah, it's crazy. Ciri doesn't even show up until the third one either.
Oh my god. What happens in the first 2 games?
You need to play them.
I suppose I do.
Yeah. You're introduced to Triss and also Shani. Shani's pretty awesome in The Witcher 1 as well.
She's in The Witcher 3 as well.
Yeah. Those are the 2 like romance choices in The Witcher 1 are between Triss and Shani. But anyway, I feel like at least the way they portrayed Triss, I know it's completely different in the books, but I feel like the way that they portrayed Triss in The Witcher 1 and 2, it seems like she genuinely cared and loved Geralt, and that's why I liked her so much better than Yennefer. Because, you know, Yennefer and we're talking about slight spoilers, I guess, for Witcher 3, but if you didn't play Witcher 3, then I guess maybe duck out. But, you know, Yennefer and Geralt are bound together by a, not a curse, but like a wish that they made or something like that with a djinn. And Geralt lost his memory in the games, and so he falls for Triss. And I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like they fit together much better than Yennefer and Geralt.
Yeah, because I suppose only playing the games you'd kind of feel that Triss... No, Yennefer and Geralt were kind of forced together by the wish.
Yeah.
Whereas Triss and Geralt was more like unique and genuine. But I personally went Yennefer in Witcher 3.
Well, I feel like most people did. And I felt terrible when I didn't choose Yennefer because they make you feel terrible after you make that decision. But I don't know. I mean, you do have the choice to choose both of them, but that doesn't turn out very good.
No, that doesn't turn out very well.
It's worth trying though.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyway, The Witcher, the series, the TV series, I think is good. I'm definitely excited for that it's happening. I'm excited that it's already been renewed for season 2.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But yeah, I still don't know how I fully feel about it.
I think once we both finish it, because I reckon we'll probably finish it pretty soon. I think we'll definitely be able to give a better overall discussion on it in terms of the story, anyway.
Yeah.
How things come together and how it could potentially then go into season 2 and whatnot. But obviously, that probably contains spoilers if we talk about all that on the podcast. So, preemptive warning.
Anything else to say about The Witcher?
It's made me want to play The Witcher. I'll say that.
Witcher 1 is pretty great. No,
That's where I was going to go.
I feel like it's going to be really hard for you to enjoy The Witcher 1.
Without the nostalgia.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it might be worth trying. I think if you can.
I have played some of it before.
What did you think about the combat?
It wasn't terrible. I put in 4 hours. It honestly, like, it was a bit confusing at first, and like, because I've started it up twice. The first time I started it up, I didn't make it more than 5 minutes because I had no idea what the combat mechanics were. And then I came back later on, and it was for some reason it just clicked and was much easier to understand. And that's when I put in all the time. So I don't think I'd struggle without the nostalgia. I just kind of need the time to put into it, I think.
Yeah, if you can get past the combat, I personally love the combat.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't think it's the most amazing combat ever, but I just like how it's kind of like a rhythm type thing that you have to click on an enemy and then you have to wait and then click on them again, and then you build up those combos, and then you have the different styles of combat, the 3 different styles, fast, medium, and heavy attacks, and then you also have your silver sword versus your regular sword. And I love it. And then you add in, I would definitely recommend playing on the highest difficulty, because it kind of forces you to, because it forces you to use your powers and also learn like bombs and things like that. And I think it just really fleshes out the combat. I mean, you could play on the lowest difficulty and it'd probably be fine. I feel like it would just be really, really easy. Especially once you understand the combat. I just feel like people didn't understand the combat. I feel like people thought you were just supposed to click away really fast. Yeah.
Can you change the difficulty midway, or is it like you choose it at the beginning and then you can't?
I'm 90% sure that you can change it midway.
Okay, cool.
And
I'll probably start it on the hardest then.
One thing that I really like about it too is, in so many RPGs, like, you just start building up so much money, you know, like you'll just be able to buy everything and like basically not have to worry about money at a certain point, but you always are worrying about money in that game. And so it's always advantageous to loot everything and to sell everything. The biggest reason is because you have to buy books to actually study monsters before you can fight them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, or sorry, you can fight them, but you don't get any items from them unless you've actually studied them. So, like, there was a quest that I had to kill drowners and collect like 10 drowner brains or something like that. But you can kill them, but you won't be able to actually collect the brains until you've read about them in the bestiary, which is really cool. The story
kind of like the bestiary.
Yeah,
but you have to like pay for the books and stuff rather than just learning them instantly.
Yeah, and the books are expensive. They're like 400 orens for a book or something like that. You also have to do that for the plants, like to collect plants, because it'll just say like unknown herb, and so you have to find those and collect those. So yeah, Witcher 1 is great. Witcher 1 I think is my favorite out of the series, followed by Witcher 3 and then Witcher 2. Which Witcher 2 is still great, but it's just like, you have to pick one, you know?
The combat in The Witcher 2 was the main thing for me. It was just weird.
Yeah, they really dumbed it down, I thought. Anything else?
I don't think so.
I was going to mention just really quickly, did you watch the trailer for Tenet?
I did see the trailer.
Have a wonderful night, Koala. Thanks so much for stopping by. What did you think?
I really, really want to see it, and thankfully it comes out the day after my birthday, so
nice.
I should be able to go see it.
Tenet is the new, I'm blanking on his name, Christopher Nolan,
yeah.
New Christopher Nolan movie that he's making. It looks weird and mind-bending and amazing.
Yeah,
I
looks
was
really, really
I was
good.
kind of nervous about watching the trailer because I really like going into those movies totally blind, but I think this is a really, really well done trailer. It not really showing you any idea what's going on, but still kind of giving you an idea that, like, it looks like it's going to be about some kind of time travel, or like
Mhm.
time travels backwards or something like that, or
Some kind of time manipulation
yeah,
type thing.
it just looks wild. I'm super excited for that.
I take it you watched Dunkirk.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I think I don't know whether he's done more movies, but the only Christopher Nolan movies I've seen were Dunkirk and then the Dark Knight trilogy.
Wait, you've never seen Inception?
No, I have not.
Oh, you've got to watch Inception.
It is on my Netflix list. Like, I know I need to watch it. But...
Oh, please watch Inception, Squash. Inception is maybe my favorite. You haven't seen Interstellar?
Oh, I have seen Interstellar. I didn't know that was
Okay.
Nolan.
Yeah, that was Nolan. Yeah,
I haven't seen that in a while, though. I only seen it once.
Inception, I think maybe... I don't know. I kind of separate the Batman movies.
Yeah.
But Inception may be my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. The story in that is just wild.
Mhm.
I want a video game that is Inception. Although Persona 5 is kind of like Inception
Really?
in a weird way. Yeah, because Inception
Man.
they go into people's dreams and
Yeah.
like change their minds and things like that. And that's basically what you're doing in Persona. You're going in someone else's mind and like changing their heart, they call it.
Oh, okay. I guess I've never really played much of Persona 5, so...
Yeah, Persona 5 is, I don't know. Persona 5 is interesting. It's way too long, but I really
Yeah.
like some things
That's
about
what-
it.
That's what turns me away is the length of the game and the the sheer amount of things you can do in it.
Hmm. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. You got anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. It is Christmas next week, which is pretty exciting. But in turn, because obviously Christmas means time with family, I'm not 100% on podcast times and stuff. So
Okay. Well, no worries. Yeah, we can we can talk about maybe skipping next week or doing it another time.
yeah.
I'm good with anything.
Cool.
Well,
But yeah, I hope everyone has a nice Christmas though, because
yeah, same here.
this is the last one before then. So Merry Christmas if you celebrate it, I suppose.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and hope you guys all have a wonderful Christmas, wonderful holiday, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.